Hey everyone, Matt here from Dr. Running, and today we're going to do a fall marathon racing shoe discussion, review, so to speak. We've all reviewed all these shoes already, but I just kind of want to talk to people about some suggestions if people are looking for these fall marathons, because London's right around the corner, Berlin just happened, lots of other ones are coming both in this fall and in the winter. So people are going to start needing to think about what marathon shoe they want to use. And when people ask us this all the time, what's the best shoe for a marathon, blah, blah, and obviously we're always going to say it's going to depend on you. What are you most comfortable with? What have you been training in? But I want to give a couple suggestions based on my experiences of shoes that might be optimal for a marathon race. Now, when it comes to a marathon, you don't necessarily want the lightest possible shoe, okay? Just because that might work really well for a 5K, maybe 10K, but over a marathon distance, that's going to be a long time. The fastest people are going to be doing that in a little over 2 hours, which is still a long time. And you're going to get up to, most people are going to be doing 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. So you got to make sure if you're on your feet that long that this shoe is comfortable. So one of my first criteria for a marathon shoe is you have to be able to do an easy run or a long run at an easy pace in it and have it feel comfortable. If it's like, I can only run fast in this shoe, if you're able to, if fast is marathon pace for you, that might be good. But for the most part, this should be comfortable enough that you can wear this for several hours and feel good about it. And so that's why I've chosen these three. There's many options out there, but these three are kind of the top of my list thus far that might be a good shoe for people that go, hey, you know what? I want to get ready for this. What's a shoe I can handle my long run in, and I'm going to feel good when everything goes to crap at mile 20, which it often does. You're not going to necessarily want the lightest shoe. You're going to want something that's comfortable and gets you through those last couple of miles. So that's where these couple come in. So probably off the top of my head, as somebody who wants to run faster, likes an aggressive shoe, but still something that's comfortable, the Saucony Pro 3 is one of my top racing shoes of the year. Now, this is also assuming that you want to use a racing shoe. There's plenty of people that using a daily trainer is going to be just fine for completing a marathon. Like I said, you don't have to have the fastest shoe. For me, I'm probably going to want something a little bit more aggressive. I'm a 2:32 marathoner, so if I do a marathon, I'm probably going to want the best shoe and one that's going to be faster over longer distances like that. So that's where the Endorphin Pro 3 comes in. The new foam underfoot, even though it's supposedly Power Run PB, it just feels different. It's way lighter at 7.3 ounces, if I remember correctly. And it's just got a lot of bounce underfoot. And the nice thing about the bounce and the geometry is it's comfortable that I've used it on easy jogs. I'm like, this is great. This is fine. Now, I'm also used to running in more minimal shoes. It's not minimal. It's got a very tall stack height. The rocker is really nice for me. What's better about this shoe is the midfoot is way more stable. They have a really good sidewall here, both on the medial and lateral side. The midfoot's a little filled in. So for me, it's inherently more stable. I have gotten away over long distance with not using true stability shoes, but I, as somebody who needs some stability, generally need something that's a little bit more inherently stable. And that's where some of these new features here have worked out really, really well for me. I have raced in this shoe. It's done great. I forgot it was on my foot. Didn't feel beat up at the end of a 10K at altitude. I've done long runs in the shoe and it's done great. It does fit a little bit more snug, so give it some time for the upper to stretch. But I think a lot of people who want a really like getting a faster shoe are really going to enjoy the Saucony Endorphin Pro as a half or full marathon racer. As I said, just make sure you get used to it. Make sure it's working out for you. Another option, kind of on the other end of the spectrum, if you do need stability, is going to be the Saucony Tempest. I know we have talked about this shoe endlessly. We got to work with Saucony on a couple components of this and got to promote it. It was really, really fun. But it's an 8.9 ounce shoe. It's got an 8mm drop. It's got super foam, and it's got stability due to the power run that goes on the both sides. And I have really enjoyed doing long runs. I did 30 miles in this shoe twice, once pacing my wife during a training run and once getting miles in while she was doing the US 100K championships, and I was totally fine. It's got the up-tempo ability to pick up the pace. It's not the fastest shoe, but if somebody wants a marathon racer or long distance racer that truly has stability without being aggressive, the Tempest is a great option. The fit is really, really nice. It's a shoe that kind of like you almost forget about. Doesn't have a plate. It is still a little stiff. So if you're sensitive to plates, this is also a really good option. So another possible stable option that may work really, really well for different people, especially like I said, if they want a true stability shoe, because there's not a lot of stability racing shoes. In fact, I don't think there is really any actually. So the Tempest might be kind of the one of the rare ones. You can obviously find things like the DS Trainer, but I probably wouldn't use that for a marathon because most people aren't used to that little shoe anymore. But one of the last ones I would kind of suggest as a marathon racing shoe, and yes, there are other options. There's ones that I haven't talked about that others might like better. These are just kind of the top 3 that I'm feeling, especially when it comes to stable shoes, which is something I need. The Adidas Pro 3 was a really big surprise for me because the Adidas Pro 2 was a great shoe for my mechanics because it tended to bias me out laterally so much. But I did find that as I started taking it into longer distances, that the softness of the sole and the wobbliness did kind of fatigue me. This got fixed with the Adidas Pro 3. Now, I'm getting kind of going back and forth. My version 3 does in fact weigh less than my version 2, which is nice, but it doesn't go as fast at shorter distances, where I love the Adidas Pro 2 for short distances. This does really well for long stuff. I've done long runs in this shoe. I've done easy runs. I've done all kinds of workouts, and it's done really well. Doesn't have the best top end speed, but that's actually what makes it a great stable marathon shoe. And yes, there's this huge cutout, but how stiff the sole is and all the massive amounts of sole flare and kind of the geometry of the shoe make it inherently stable without being a shoe that you're gonna feel pushing into your foot. The foam is really good. It is not the bounciest foam out there, but it just keeps you going and it's consistent. And that's something you need in a marathon shoe, something that's gonna keep you consistently going over long miles. Upper is really nice. It is on the wider side. There is a teeny bit more length, and I'd stay with that if you're gonna do a long run or marathon, just because you don't want stuff fitting too snug because you're gonna lose toenails or skin, which is not the greatest thing. But minimal upper, so not a lot of paces to crunch on you. Inherently stable shoe just from the wide shape, the stiffness, it's really good. And it's fairly smooth once you break it in. So again, another shoe that I almost would just grab immediately going, I've done long runs in this shoe comfortably. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, but it's still fast. It can still pick up the pace. It still does tempo runs well. It still does up tempo runs well. And I think a lot of people, that's really what you're looking for. You're not looking for, a streak fly. Okay. That's not the best option probably for marathon. Some people are going to do great, but the majority of the people out there, a marathon racer like any one of those 3, or even like a daily training shoe is going to be best. And I'm going to encourage people, yes, it's really easy to get caught up in these super fast shoes, the carbon plates, this kind of stuff. But remember that comfort is key, because even if you have the lightest shoe or the most aggressive shoe, that's not necessarily what's going to get you through those last couple miles when everything's falling apart, right? A marathon is hard, right? It's a super long distance. Most people will hit the wall around 18 to 20 miles because that's oftentimes when you tend to run out of glycogen in your muscles. So your body's having to shift the stores of energy, and it's really not comfortable. That fueling is really important. That's a different conversation. We've got some great podcasts on that. But I am going to encourage you that if your goal is to definitely finish the race, go with your daily trainer. Go with the one you're comfortable with. If you will go, hey, I'm going for a PR, I want something faster, then you might want to think about some of these shoes. But please, please, please don't put these on the day before the race, especially if it's a marathon. Get used to it. Get your body used to it, because that's what people don't realize is these stiffer shoes, these super foams, you have to get used to it. It's not free energy. Your body has to figure out how to work with the shoe. It's not going to do the work for you. So make sure you prep. Hope that was helpful. We're going to have some more solo reviews for me coming out. And so another couple talks, and I'm very excited that we have a lot of cool podcast stuff coming out. And I really want to encourage everyone, have a great marathon season. Hope everybody stays healthy. Be smart about your training, and come back soon because we'll have more stuff that might help you, not only this next fall and winter, but even beyond that.